right.
5 dead, including a gunman, and 10 wounded, including children, in a shooting in Rancho Tehama today. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Allison Woods.
I'm Mike Mangus. We just got in a picture of the 6-year-old boy who was wounded today at Rancho Tehama Elementary. Here's a picture of 6-year-old Alejandro Hernandez and his father, Jose. Alejandro was shot twice, once in the chest. He's in critical condition tonight at UC Davis Medical Center. We spoke to his cousin, Alondra Cruz Mendoza, about his condition.
He was hit 2 times. He was hit on his right foot and in his chest. And he still has a bullet in his chest. So they're trying to do more tests to see how they can take it out without harming him. But it didn't hit any of his major organs, which is a thank God.
What's going through your mind?
That is just, it's crazy because, you know, they're people that we know. It's not random people. It's not a big city. Everybody knows each other. It's, you know, a family member. So it does, you know, it hurts. Bless them.
Continue our team coverage of the shooting tonight with KRCR News Channel 7's Taylor Torregano. She spoke with a man who says he ran into the gunman today and had a gun pulled on him. She joins us live tonight in Rancho Tehama. Let's go to her now.
Good evening, Mike. Allison. I spoke with 20-year-old Jonah Bancayo over the phone as his mother stood here on Rancho Tehama Road, waiting anxiously to get past the roadblock in order to get home to her children who were safe at home. Jonah says he went to Rancho Tehama Elementary School to drop off his little brother at about 7:15 a.m. He heard a loud pop and thought it was a firework, but as he was driving away, he looked back and saw a guy with a gun who was running. Then everyone started screaming. There was more gunfire, which eventually stopped, so Jonah started to make his way back home to try to get service on his phone. There was a truck that passed him on Rancho Tehama Road, and he thought it was a parent trying to get home, but he was mistaken.
And I heard like a crash or something, and I guess he hit this older couple. He hit them, and he drove into a ditch. And I didn't know it was a shooter at first. I thought it was a parent. So I stopped my car. I got out, and I went to check on him. And I asked him if he was okay. He said, "Yeah, I'm okay. How about you?" And then he pulled out his gun, and then I tried to jump out of the way, and I started running.
Jonah says the whole thing was really scary, and his mind went blank. He's unsure of the fate of the older couple, but when I went back there today, there was a body in the road next to this car the shooter had crashed into the ditch. His mother was obviously emotional, fearful that things could have ended up a lot differently. Jonah says the shooter even fired rounds at him. His mother thanking God tonight that he missed. I'm live in Rancho Tehama. Taylor Torregano, KRCR News Channel 7.
Thank you for that, Taylor. The small community rocked by the mass shooting today. It's called Rancho Tehama Reserve. It's a private rural community in Tehama County of about 1,500 people, about 10 miles west of I-5 between Red Bluff and Corning. Rancho Tehama Elementary School is part of the Corning Unified School District.
Well, it started just before 8 a.m. on Bombcat Lane where he killed a woman. Deputies say this was the same woman he is accused of assaulting and stabbing back in January. The man was also killed at Bombcat Lane scene. From there, he headed to the elementary school. Law enforcement says he was dressed to kill, wearing a vest loaded with clips of ammunition. When he got to the school, he started shooting in windows and then tried to get in. When he couldn't, he went back to Stagecoach Lane. That's where he saw other drivers on the road. He rammed their car and shot at them, killing at least one person. He then chased another person who ran off, shooting at them and stealing their car. After that, he shot a woman and 2 children she had with her in her truck. He was chasing another vehicle when officers caught up with him, ramming his vehicle off the road before eventually shooting and killing him. The entire incident was about 45 minutes from start to finish. And politicians all over the country are reacting to the news today. Our news crew in Washington, D.C. was able to get a hold of Congressman Doug LaMalfa in between hearings on Capitol Hill today. And KRCR News Channel 7's Courtney Kreider joins us tonight with reaction from Washington, D.C. Good evening, Courtney.
Good evening, Allison. Like many other politicians today, Congressman LaMalfa expressed sorrow for the victims and their families and anger at what might be the source of this tragedy. LaMalfa says our country needs to get to the root of the cause of these shootings. He bristled at the notion that gun control may be the answer and instead blamed the state of California, saying he is angered by the loss of innocent people.
We need criminal control. The state of California is doing more right now to make it easier for criminals to be released early, not tending to the level of crime that they've been convicted for. This perpetrator turns out to be one of those that was should have been caught either by DOJ in the purchase of a gun or released early or never properly convicted. Then I'll be really angry over that, and we should all be.
LaMalfa says more guns on schools could be the answer, pointing out that several North State school districts have allowed for teachers and others to carry concealed weapons on campus. He says in rural places like Tehama County, law enforcement simply can't get there right away.
We have to be self-responsible for that first line of defense until they can get there. And so it's more important than ever to be able to exercise our Second Amendment so we don't have the victims that are my constituents this time be victims like this.
Congressman LaMalfa finished by promising to follow up on the incident and take action where needed. We will do the same. Courtney Kreider, KRCR News Channel 7.
Thank you, Courtney. Well, this morning, several parents were stuck outside the barricades, worried about their children and waiting for any news. KRCR News Channel 7's Julia Avery was there with them and joins us now live. Good evening, Julia.
Allison, I was there this morning as parents were stuck behind the barricades, desperate for answers about whether or not their children were safe. The Sheriff's Department has confirmed that 2 children were wounded. One was hit in the back seat of a pickup truck. He was on his way to school. His mom was hit in the driver's seat. While her wounds are life-threatening, the boy is expected to survive. The second child, Alejandro Hernandez, was shot in his classroom at school. He is also expected to recover. I spoke with a new mom, and while she had her baby in her arms, she said she's been worried about the man that law enforcement has all but confirmed is the shooter, Kevin Jansen Neal. She tells me he's been shooting his guns late at night, and she was worried that a stray bullet would come into her home with the new baby.
I seen him. He drives pretty erratically through the ranch and lives on the next road, so it's just crazy how people are these days.
Now, we've heard similar reports from other neighbors as well about the shooter. As of now, parents and children have been reunited. I spoke with several of the parents today, and they all had the same idea that you never think it's going to happen to you. Reporting live in Rancho Tehama, Julia Avery, KRCR News Channel 7.
Thank you, Julia. Well, the rain's moving back.